By month 7, the routine had become part of Chicago itself. Predictable as the L trains rattling through the loop, constant as wind off Lake Michigan. 6 a.m. knock on her door, Luka Kovac with white roses, the question, her answer, his promise to return every single morning. The woman in 4B started setting her alarm by it. There he goes, she'd say, watching through her peephole as Luka walked back to his car. Quote 1. Amara tried not to care, tried to pretend the roses wilting on her doorstep didn't make her chest ache, tried to ignore the way her heart jumped every morning at 5:58 when she'd hear his footsteps in the hallway, tried to forget that she was starting to look forward to those 2 minutes more than anything else in her day. But caring was dangerous. Hope was dangerous. And Luka Kovac was the most dangerous thing that had ever walked into her life, wearing a patient smile and carrying flowers. Then the Antonelli family noticed she didn't know who they were at first. Didn't understand the significance when Marco, Luca's underboss, started doubling security at the estate. Didn't register the tension in the air during her morning shifts or the way conversations stopped when she entered rooms. She was just a maid. She wasn't supposed to notice the currents running beneath the surface of Luca's world. But she noticed when someone started following her home from work. It happened on a Tuesday. She'd just finished her evening shift at the restaurant, was walking the 4 blocks to the bus stop through Inglewood's dimly lit streets. The footsteps started half a block behind her, heavy, deliberate, not trying to hide. Her pulse kicked up. She'd learned to recognize threat the way other people learn to recognize faces. This was threat. She walked faster. The footsteps matched her pace. She turned a corner. They followed. Her apartment was still 3 blocks away, the bus stop too. There were no open businesses on this street, no witnesses. Just her and whoever was behind her, and the sick certainty that this wasn't random. She reached for her phone, a hand clamped on her shoulder. She spun, swung her purse hard, connected with someone's jaw. Jesus Christ, the man swore, stumbling back. But there were 2 of them. The second one grabbed her arm. "We just want to talk," he said. His accent was Italian. His grip was iron. "Our boss has some questions about your boyfriend." "I don't have a boyfriend." "The guy who shows up at your door every morning disagrees." Fear spiked through her. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't." The first man wiped blood from his lip. "Here's the message. Tell Kovac that we know where his weakness lives. We know what time she gets off work. We know she takes the 47 bus. We know her little sister goes to Englewood High. We know..." A car screeched around the corner. Black. Expensive. Moving too fast for a residential street. It slammed to a stop 10 feet away. Doors flew open. 3 men emerged, and Amara recognized them instantly. Luca's security detail. The men holding her let go. Step back. Hands raised. Quote 10. One of Luca's men said quietly, "Dangerous. You're trespassing." "We're just delivering a message." "Message received. Now leave before we deliver one back." The Antonelli soldiers looked at each other, then at Amara. Then they walked away, unhurried, like they'd accomplished exactly what they came for. The security team waited until they were gone. Then the lead man turned to Amara. Quote 14. She shook her head, couldn't speak past the fear lodged in her throat. "Mr. Kovac wants you at the estate, now." "I need to check on my sister." "Already done. She's fine. We have someone outside your building." Of course they did. Of course Luca had been watching, protecting from shadows even when she didn't ask for it. She got in the car. 20 minutes later, she was in Luca's study. He stood by the window, back to her, shoulders tight. When he turned, his expression was carved from stone and fury. "Did they touch you?" His voice was so controlled it scared her more than shouting would have. "They grabbed my arm, that's all." "Show me." She pulled up her sleeve. Bruises were already forming, dark fingerprints against her brown skin. Something dangerous flickered across Luca's face. He pulled out his phone, made a call. He paused. Quote 25. He hung up. Amara's stomach turned. "You can't." "I can. I will." He crossed to her, stopped close enough that she could feel heat radiating off him. "This is my world, Amara. Violence and territory and vendettas that span generations. I tried to keep you separate from it. I tried to protect you without dragging you in. But they made you a target anyway. Because of you. Yes. Because you show up at my door every morning like I'm someone who matters to you. You are someone who matters to me. She laughed. The sound came out sharp, broken. I can't do this. I can't be the reason people get hurt. I can't be your weakness. You're not a weakness. He reached for her, then stopped himself, hands falling to his sides. You're the only real thing in my life. The only thing I want to protect more than I want power. That's insane. Probably. He finally touched her, fingertips against her bruised arm, gentle as prayer. Marry me. Her breath caught. What? Third time's the charm, they say. His voice roughened. Marry me, Amara. Let me keep you safe. Let me put the full weight of my name and my organization between you and anyone who dare touch you. Let me... No. The word cut through his speech like a knife. Luca's jaw worked. She gestured to her bruised arm, to the study, to the world he represented. Tears burned behind her eyes. Quote 48. The question hung between them, heavy, impossible. Lucas stared at her for a long moment, then he deadened something she never expected. He pulled up his shirt. Scars, dozens of them. Knife wounds and bullet holes and burn marks that told stories of violence survived. His body was a map of pain. Quote 49, he said quietly. Quote 50, he lowered his shirt. Quote 51, his eyes met hers. Quote 52, quote 53, quote 54. He stepped back, gave her space. Quote 5. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to, but belief had cost her too much before. Quote 56, she whispered. Quote 57, quote 58, quote 59, his voice turned absolute. Quote 60, she should argue, should fight for her independence, should rage against his control. But she was tired, scared, and the bruises on her arm throbbed with every heartbeat. Quote 6-1, she said. Luca's driver took her home. Security followed her up to her apartment, checked every room, installed new locks, gave her a phone number to call if anything felt wrong. Maya watched all of this with wide eyes. What happened? Her sister asked when they were alone. Nothing. Amara. Some men followed me. Luca's people handled it. It's fine. It's not fine, Maya's voice rose. Quote 67, quote 68, and quote 69. Amara didn't have an answer. That night, she couldn't sleep. Kept replaying the moment those hands grabbed her, the threat in their voices, the casual way they'd mentioned Maya's school, her sister. They'd threatened her sister. At 2 a.m., she gave up on sleep, made tea, sat at her tiny kitchen table staring at the phone number Luca's security team had given her. She could call, could hear his voice, could ask him to promise one more time that he'd keep them safe, but calling would mean something, would be a crack in the walls, would be the beginning of surrender. She didn't call, instead she waited for morning, and at 6 a.m., like clockwork, someone knocked on her door. She opened it. Lucas stood there, same expensive coat, same white roses, but something was different. His eyes were harder, more determined. Quote 70, he said. Quote 71, she said. Quote 72. Something cold slid down her spine. Quote 73, quote 74, quote 75, quote 76. She laughed, couldn't help it. You think that's the solution? Marriage? I think becoming my wife puts you under the protection of the entire Kovac organization. I think it sends a message that touching you means war. I think it's the only way I can sleep at night, knowing you're safe. He paused. I also think I love you, and I'm tired of pretending this is just about protection. The words hit like bullets. You don't love me, she whispered. You barely know me. I know you're the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I sleep. I know I've memorized the way you laugh when Maya says something ridiculous. I know you chew your bottom lip when you're worried and you hum old reggae songs when you think no one's listening. I know you're scared and brave and stubborn and beautiful, and I would wait 1,000 mornings if that's what it took for you to believe me. Her chest ached. I can't, she said. I can't be what you need. I can't be part of your world. I can't. Then don't be part of my world. Be my world. She closed her eyes. Tears spilled over. You're asking for something I don't know how to give. I'm asking you to trust me, that's all. Trust is how I ended up running in the middle of the night with nothing but my sister and 2 suitcases. I know. He reached out, wiped her tears with his thumb. But I'm not him, and I'll prove it every morning for the rest of our lives if that's what it takes. She pulled back. I have to go to work. I know. I'll see you tomorrow. Every morning, he promised. He left the roses on her doorstep and walked away. Amara stood there for a long time, watching him go, wondering when she'd started hoping he'd stay. The next few weeks were tense. The Antonelli family didn't make another move, but the threat hung in the air like smoke. Luca doubled security. Amara's every movement was watched, protected, controlled. She hated it, hated feeling like she couldn't breathe without someone knowing, hated that her independence had been stripped away by forces she couldn't fight. But she also felt safer than she had in years. And Maya noticed the change, started asking more questions, started watching Luca through the peephole every morning with a calculating expression that made Amara nervous. He really loves you, Maya said one morning after Luca left. He thinks he does. He waited 212 mornings. That's not thinking, that's knowing. You counted? Someone had to. Maya flopped on the couch. When are you going to say yes? I'm not. Why not? He's perfect for you. He kills people for a living, Maya. So? You used to date someone who hit you. At least this one protects you instead of hurting you. The logic was twisted. Wrong. But also not entirely false. Amara sank onto the couch beside her sister. It's not that simple. It is, though. Maya's voice went soft. Maya took her hand. Quote 110. Amara's throat closed. What if I trust him and he breaks me? What if you don't trust him and you break yourself? The question sat heavy between them. That night, Amara dreamed of Kingston, of Andre's hands around her throat, of running through dark streets with Maya crying behind her, of the moment she realized that staying meant dying and leaving meant living. She woke up gasping, and for the first time in 3 years, she wanted someone beside her, wanted arms around her, wanted Luca's steady presence telling her the nightmares couldn't touch her anymore, but wanting was dangerous. So she lay alone in the dark and waited for morning. At 6 a.m., the knock came. She opened the door. Luca stood there, and something in her expression must have shown because his eyes sharpened. Quote 113, he asked quietly. Quote 114, quote 115. She leaned against the doorframe, exhausted, raw. Quote 116, quote 117. The words broke something in her. She stepped back. Quote 118. Luca went very still. Quote 119. No, yes, maybe. Quote 120. He smiled, small, careful. Quote 121. He stepped inside her apartment for the first time. It was tiny compared to his mansion, cramped, worn, but it was hers, and letting him into it felt like letting him see something she had kept hidden. She made coffee. He sat at her kitchen table, looking too large for the small space, too expensive in his tailored coat against her second-hand furniture. But he didn't comment on any of it, just accepted the mug she handed him and drank it black. They sat in silence for a while. Then Lucas said, quote 122, quote 123, quote 124. She stared into her coffee. Quote 125. Lucas' jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. Quote 126, she continued. Quote 127. Her hand shook. She set down her mug. Quote 128. She laughed bitterly. Quote 129. Quote 130. Lucas said softly. Quote 131. She gestured to the apartment. Quote 132. Luca was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, quote 133. She should be horrified, should recoil from the casual way he offered murder like a gift. Instead, she felt something warm unfold in her chest. She said. She looked at him. really looked, saw the sincerity in his eyes, the quiet promise, the patient devotion that had kept him at her door for 7 months. Quote 137, she whispered. Quote 138, quote 139. His voice roughed. Quote 140. Her breath caught. Quote 141. He leaned forward. Quote 142. The words settled between them. Fragile. Precious. Amara's walls cracked a little more. I'm still not ready to say yes, she said. I know. But thank you for the coffee, for listening, for... She gestured helplessly. Everything. Lucas stood. I'll see you tomorrow morning. 6 a.m.? Every morning for the rest of my life. He left. The apartment felt emptier without him. And Amara sat at her kitchen table, staring at the roses he'd left behind, wondering when she'd started thinking of them as beautiful instead of dangerous. The morning visits continued, but something had shifted. Sometimes he stayed for coffee. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence while the city woke up around them. Maya started setting an extra place at the table. The neighbors stopped gossiping and started smiling. And Amara started opening the door before he knocked.